How's everyone doing? It's your boy Flambo. I'm here to give y'all a great sword guide because y'all complain a lot on Twitter, Brawlhalla. Every time I get a dub in rank 1v1s, y'all cry and say I got no skill, and you're probably right, but you're still getting outplayed, so what does that say about you? So, because Autumn Championships are coming around and this weapon is going to be legal, I wanted to give a quick beginner guide for people who want to play the weapon, and then also for people who want to learn how to play against the weapon. This guide will also serve to give you an idea of options you can do to escape certain things, and also let you see into the mind of a greatsword player so you don't find yourself being completely tossed every time you run into one in the tournament or just, on the ladder. Actually, there we go. This, kids like this, right? Kids like this. Look at me. Look at me. We got our thinking caps on today. We got little frog boys. This is cool. I know y'all like this hat. Am I putting it on backwards? What am I doing? Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, cool. Now we're in business. This looks silly, and I like it. Um, so let's go ahead. Let's hop into Brawlhalla. Right. I already got my boy Jayun. Well, he got the Cloud mod going, loaded up on not Great Hall. It's Apocalypse. So let's go ahead. We're gonna go through the basic moves first, and then we'll go into some of the more complex things that this weapon has to offer, and then we'll kind of do a short breakdown after that. So first we have the grounded neutral starters, right? We have neutral light, down light, and side light. And neutral light, all three of these moves are going to be what you're fishing for in neutral, and that's kind of one of the great things about the weapon. You don't have one specific move that you're always fishing for in order to start off your offense. If you get any one of those three, you can kind of get a lot of damage on your opponent. So neutral light, as you can see, it covers kind of an arc in front and on top of the greatsword user, and this move is just good. It picks up the opponent. Its hitbox is huge. There really isn't a downside to this move. You can just kind of throw it out. I use it a lot. I'll be doing dash jumps like this into these fast falls, and I'll just dash jump around, go neutral light, and we're already inside on the opponent. It's also like decently fast. It has like somewhere around like 10 frame startup or something like that. It's pretty good. And it's also, I think, going to be one of your, if not one of the only easy accessible anti-air options for greatsword from the ground, right? Because you can't really sidelight someone out the air, you can't downlight someone out the air, so you're going to be going for this if someone's trying to jump in on you, or you're going to be dashing back and spacing out one of your other grounded moves. Alternatively though, if they're like really high up, you're going to go for an aerial, but that we'll talk about later. Now, sidelight is another good move. It covers a lot of the same things that neutral light does, but as you can see, neutral light hits more in front and above, whereas side light is more kind of the horizontal plane, x-axis. You're going to be poking your opponents with this move quite a bit. And actually, let's go ahead and talk about how the interactions work with the characters, right? So I'm going to hop back to neutral light for a second. Neutral light, as you see, when I hit Jiro there, it scoops up. And in the event that Jiro is in the air, which, let's see if I can give him a reason to be up there. Well, no, that's like too much. But essentially, this move, if you have an airborne opponent, it'll also, if I can get a good example here, well, that's not a good one. Need like a poke. You see, if I hit him airborne, it'll drag you down. And this is kind of the same thing that the cannon S-Light has, where if someone's in the air, it'll pull them down, but if someone's on the floor, the neutral light will pull them up. Anyway, back to the side light. So the side light has two hitboxes on it. It doesn't have that weird kind of interaction with knockback, but it does have some important things to note with the hitboxing. If you are far away from someone and you go for side light, as you see, Jiro gets popped straight up. He doesn't go anywhere, he just gets popped straight up, and that's something you need to be able to recognize, because if you are on top of someone and you go for side light, it'll push them forward. And really, we're going to go ahead and slow it down actually. If I go in frame advance, what they're getting hit by is this initial hitbox here, right? And then this is what pushes them forward. If they get hit by this part only, then they kind of get popped up. So this is what pushes them forward, and this is useful to know because it's going to be necessary for some damage combos and strings, where you just kind of need to push them forward in order to carry them across the stage. And then lastly, you have D-Light. D-Light is insane. It is insane. It's very similar to bow D-Light in terms of application, but it is also similar to bow D-Light, extremely forgiving, right? With this attack, you don't really care about your spacing too much. And check it out, right? I'm in the corner of the stage. If I downlight, you can see it makes me travel like a good chunk from the ledge there. Like I'd say like it's at least a good like fifth of the stage. I just walked with my D-Light. In fact, let's count. That was 1, that's 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so almost exactly like a fifth of the stage from the corner. So that's crazy, right, for how much travel you get. And then if you combine it with a dash, you're not safe. Like Jiro, for example, I can hit him easily over here if I just dash D-Light, right? I just cover basically more than half the stage with that input. And that's why this weapon's so dangerous. You do not want to get caught by D-Light. It's going to be a bad time for you. But the other thing that's so great about D-Light is how forgiving it is with the hitboxing, right? You take a look at it, and we go back, right? That's huge. That is huge, but it's also extremely long. And even here, right? Like, look at that start. He hits stacked a little bit, but he does run forward. So, like, if someone is stacked on top of you, like, this isn't going to work, obviously, but it does cover his hurt box after a certain point. But because of that, if I'm over here and I want to go for dash D-Light, whoops, right, it'll hit. If I'm over here and I want to go for dash D-Light, that's going to hit. If I am, like, over here, dash D-Light will miss, but, like, regular D-Light will, you know, very easily hit here. So you have, like, you can threaten this move from just about anywhere, and that's what makes it such a scary option for the Greatsword, because you don't really have to worry much about being able to land this move. You just see someone landing there, as long as you're like on the same screen as them, you can probably threaten with this move. So with that said, those are all the neutral starters, right? Because, you know, as the Greatsword, y'all already know it has starters, bridges, right, transitions, and then what people like to call finishers or closers or climaxes, whatever you want to call it. Bangers, that's what I like to call it, you know, to the D-Light banger. But anyway, we'll talk about the aerial kit next, and then we'll go and talk into the bridges after that. So, in terms of the aerial kit, the Greatsword has the neutral air. This move's cracked, okay? Like, this is just ridiculous. As you can see from the hitbox, right here I did a falling one. This is a landing neutral air. But yeah, it clearly hits behind. Like, there's no denying that here, and you can tell it also hits stacked as well. So if you want to fall on top of someone with a neutral air, you very easily can. I'll show you. Easy. It's not even, no worries whatsoever. It's an amazing move for juggling. You know, if someone's jumping around a lot, you can follow them around and just keep neutral airing. It's honestly really tough to deal with. So if you don't know what to do when someone's in the air, pressing this button is a pretty safe bet. Honestly, probably going to be your most used aerial in conjunction with down air. So let's talk about down air then, because it's also the second most used aerial. Down air, you poke. It's basically spear down air. It does a good amount of damage. The force is also very solid as well, and it also has some other applications I'll show you. But basically, just take a look at how disjointed this is, right? All of that. Look how long that is, and look where my hurt box is. And look at Cloud. He's kind of putting his booty out a little bit. But because of this, if someone is off stage trying to make it back, there's almost no reason not to throw this move out. You're not really putting yourself at risk. You know, if you fast fall and do it, and you try to hit someone, and then you end up below them, that's a bad news bears. But otherwise, you should be throwing this out and threatening with this. And then if you hit, cool, you're in a great spot. This often can lead into itself. Like, you can do down air, chase dodge down side air, or, you know, chase dodge ground pound, whatever. And even if you don't get the KO, it's also just like really solid damage. and then usually you can go back onto the stage, stand over here, start doing your little left, right, threaten, whatever, because all your hitboxes are huge. Even if you're standing this far, you still exert a tremendous amount of pressure to the ledge. Now, let's talk about side air, right? This move is okay. It has its usage more often than not. It's because, hey, someone's in front of me, I need to hit them. Nair and down air are not going to do that, and you don't want to have to burn your dodge to hit directly in front of you. And that's also just really slow, right? But what it's extremely useful for is when you're off stage and, you know, you're threatening people with down airs over and over, and they're like, oh man, I can't make it back to the stage. And then you kind of bait their dodge out. You hit them with Sayer, it sends them at an abysmal angle. In fact, let's pop up our homeboy here, and you can see how it sends completely to the corner of the stage, right? It sent Jay into the bottom left there, and of course, if I do it on this side, it's going to send Jay into the bottom right. Oh, whoops. Look at me, I can't hit Jay in. What am I doing? I'm in Jiro. Oh my gosh. Yeah, look at that. Look at that trajectory. That is, you get caught off stage without a jump or a dodge, and you get hit by that. You have to burn so many resources to make up for it that, especially on a stage like this, for example, you're probably not making back if you get hit like over here by it. Yeah, so that move, also ridiculous. And then the last move in the grounded kit, of course, is our aerial kit, is recovery. And this move is amazing, amazing, amazing. Hitbox, ridiculous. Look at that. Look at this. Oh my god. I've been playing this weapon and I still look at this every time. And I'm like, why? I'm not complaining, but bruh. But the thing about this move is that it is very slow to start out. Right? You can kind of see the wind up in the animation. It takes about 20 frames to come out. And because of that, you will often find yourself getting stuffed quite a bit by it. But because of how much it covers itself in front, right, you're often going to, and you can see that the uppermost part of the hitbox hits well above your hitbox. Sometimes when you're recovering, you're going to want to jump, and then if you think your opponent is going to try to ground pound you, you'll need to ask yourself, okay, which side do I think they're going to do it on? And often you'll have to reverse recovery to try to intercept them, right? Because here, if they were trying to do a ground pound on me, maybe a little bit further away from the ledge, this would kind of cover me on the way up. But if I did it facing the other way, you know, kind of imagine I'm on the other side, they'd be able to hit my head pretty cleanly and my hitbox wouldn't get them there. But the force on this move is ridiculous. It kills extremely early, and then combine that with the fact that you have this amazing juggle tool in neutral air. It's hard to survive. It is hard to survive. You know, and like, look, oh my gosh. And you know, you can chase dodge after this stuff too, dude. It's not kind. So with that said, I'm gonna talk about I forgot about this move, right? Ground pound. Ground pound's good. It's not amazing. Some might say it's one of the weaker parts of the kit, but honestly, the hitbox is like really good. You know, it covers your hurt box pretty well. Like if you do this move and you just line it up correctly, you know, depending on what weapon you're up against, like this is still gonna lose to like hammer nair or something. But more often than not, you don't really trade too much with this move. Or if you do, it's like usually in the Greatsword's favor. Something you're gonna use to catch up dodges a lot. It's solid, you know, nothing amazing. It's not like a bow ground pound where it's absolutely ridiculous. The trajectory that it sends at is like diagonal, which maybe I'll need to do something like this to, like, you see it sounds like similar to kind of the Sayer trajectory, right? But because of that, like I know you're used to ground pound sending people straight down, but you have down air for that anyway. The down left or down right angle is actually extremely useful because even though it doesn't immediately KO someone off the bottom, it will send them further away from the stage, and often they can't make it back because of that. So ground pound's also solid. Now the other thing I didn't mention earlier is that every single one of these aerial moves has a grounded variant. For forward air, we keep it short, don't use it. And the reason why is right here. It has one active frame, and that's it. You know, massive startup, one active frame that you can hit someone, and then massive recovery. So we don't really use the grounded version of this move at all. Only if we really have to, but there's a certain amount of dexterity. And I don't mean Brawlhalla dex, I just mean like the literal definition of dexterity that you need to have to make sure that you don't miss this move when you use it. And there are very small niche scenarios where you'll have to, just so you don't like get hit or you need to like cover your landing. It's the only move you really have to cover that spot, but if you can avoid using it, don't really use it. Granted, the other moves though, like falling neutral air, that's fine. If you get a falling neutral air and you get the grounded variant, you will go into a stance off of any grounded aerial, right? If I do this ground pound and I press a button, well, actually, let's see. Come on. There you go. You can see. Am I capping, dude? Oh, what am I trying to do? I'm the down air, right? And you go for like neutralite. You can see I do it right there. Right here, it goes into the end light bridge. Same thing with forward air. You know, if you land with it, you can go into bridge. Neutral air, same thing. Every grounded air attack goes into a bridge. So there you go. But the one that you're going to be wanting to use is down air, and you want to press neutralite after it. 10 out of 10 times. There's really no reason not to do neutralite after that. A lot of people want to do down air because that is a true combo. But downlight, neutralite is also a true combo if I don't suck. You see right here I'm getting like one dodge frame, but I promise you it's a true combo. I'm just not super practiced in getting it true every single time. And you know, I'll do it a few times to see if I can pull it off here. But even then, like consistently getting one dodge frame on lag, it's basically a true combo no matter what. And it might have to do with something about the spacing of the hitboxing, but whatever, dude. It's just really good. Always go for neutralite. And the reason for that is if you go for neutralite, you are missing out on 2 damage that you would get from if you did like down air downlight. But you also get the ability to go into a finisher or a mix-up because you go into a bridge, whereas if you do down air D-light again, because you already used down air in the string, it goes into a finisher and you're not really able to follow up, right? This is basically saying it's over. So you want to learn how to play Greatsword. When you land down air, go into neutralite, and don't question it, just trust me on this. Now let's talk about bridges, right? Because right there I was talking about it a little bit, where if you get grounded down air, you want to go into neutralite bridge. And there are like, I think 21 different variations of the kind of strings you can do off any given starter into bridge into a finisher or whatever. But these are the ones you're going to want to know. If you start with Endlight, I'd say 7 out of 10 times, 8 out of 10 times, you want to go for D-Light. And mainly the reason is, I mean, look at that dodge window. You know, I'm pretty sure this one's true. I forget. You know, the Greatsword Discord will figure all that out. But I know that side light D-Light is super true, especially if you get the close hitbox of side light. You can true combo that. Granted, a lot of this is not super execution heavy, but I'm not really an execution god, dude. I just kind of cheese people, I'm not gonna lie. But because of that, like right there, if you get like a really far side light, like of course it's gonna take like time for you to travel to them, but even then, right, like right there, that one was true. Like it is good. So off of End light, go for D light. Off of side light, go for D light. And the reason for that is that these move your opponent to the corners of the stage. And you value stage control a lot with this weapon. Like, look, I do that, and now Jiro is in the corner, I am not. And if I want to go for a finisher, cool, I can. Jiro's off stage. If I don't give up anything because I have superior positioning here. Same thing if I do this. Oh, okay, like Jiro's over there now. And it's like, well, he has to play with me. The other option that you can get off of End light is side light. And this one, I kind of save more for punishes. Once I already have their dodge, that's when I start going for side light. You don't really need to go for End light unless you are looking for like a quick punish. Like you gotta dodge, and you can already know that if you go for like a dash into a side light, it's gonna whiff, or it's gonna KO. Just do end light, end light. You know that'll KO. But otherwise, you want to go for end light, D light, or end light, side light. Especially if you want to go for like some resets or something. I just think D light is the way to go here, and also because of the fact that it moves you as well. A lot of times you're going to whiff this first attack. They're going to try to hit you for where you are at that moment, and doing the D-Light bridge will move you away from where you are, and often cause you just dodge hitboxes because you can essentially use it as a dash regardless of if you hit the end light or not. Because otherwise, what are you going to do, mash dodge? Well, right there I hit, right? But like, oh no, and then you have to like dash cancel, and you could just, you're out, you know, while putting hitbox out. So that's what we're going to do. End light, D light, side light, D light. Okay? And then the thing about down light, right? Like if you land a down light, because we were talking about how this move is completely ridiculous. If you're spamming down light across the stage, you can't do down light into down light bridge because you can't do the same move twice, right? It'll give you the finisher. So when you get down light, it's kind of the same thing as if you got down air. You go into that neutral light bridge. It is so good. It is extremely good. You could go into side light if you want, but end light is generally where you want to go just because of the hitbox. Like look at that hitbox, right? Boom, it covers in front and above. And really what we're trying to do is we're trying to like min-max where people could potentially be. If I do this move and someone's like still in front of me but I whiffed, what is going to like most likely catch them if they're trying to come in on me? And side light is good for that, but where I find myself using D light into side light the most is if I whiff D light but someone's still in front of me. A lot of people don't respect the fact that Greatsword allows you to still go into bridges and finishers on whiff, and they'll try to come in and punish here. If that's the case, I'm gonna go D light, side light. They're like, oh crap, he wasn't done yet, and then you can, you know, start your punish from there. So that's really what you're gonna want to go for. You can go, but D light, like you just don't do that. This one's actually something I never use. Like I actually can't think of one time I got a stock like this. If I did, it must have been when I was first playing Greatsword and I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was just mashing buttons. But if you love mashing buttons, this weapon is definitely great for you. So there you have. Those are all the bridges you really want to use. Granted, there are some like unique bridges. For example, side light into neutral light. You can tell this bridge is actually a different animation than the one we saw off the downlight. It has a dead zone. You can see it, right? In between Jaeyun or Cloud and the Jiro here, there's a huge spot where there's just no active hitbox. And the issue with this is if it makes this move actually a lot more nuanced of a hitbox, because if they're a little bit too close to you, this is going to whiff completely. And I should be able to demonstrate that pretty easily if I just get a little bit closer. Well, I can't actually, because if I hit Jaeyun, it's going to... That's the thing, right? The side light pushes him further enough that this end light's going to hit. But, like, if I whiff it or something, it's going to go, like, right through him. And it's like, oh. You know? But this move is good. But this is also another one that, like, you wanna be smart when you throw this out, because D-Light will often be the better option. But if you do manage to catch people with this, like a lot of the time, you're going to go for 1-2 strings and look for a dodge. If they dodge there, you dash in, you start your end light, and honestly, they're either going to die or take a lot of damage. So there you go. But now that we talked about the bridges, right? You know, quick recap, we're going to go for D-Light bridge off of neutral light, D-Light bridge off of side light, and neutral light bridge off of D-Light. These are going to be the ones used the most often. And then with some caveats, sometimes you can go for end light, side light bridge. Let's talk about the finishers. So let's actually do the egg soup combo, because this is what made me learn Greatsword, and we'll talk about how impractical parts of it are, but kind of clear up some misconceptions about Greatsword. So the egg soup combo that he does in the video, I believe he starts with side light, neutral light. Yeah, I think that's what it is. And granted, I can't do it here because the bot is in the middle of the stage. So let me put position reset off, and then we'll just kind of push the bot to the corner a little bit, because this is a combo that requires a little bit more stage. Okay, cool. So it's right, and I did it really slow there, so you could kind of see what was going on. Could do it a little faster if you want. You know, why not for the fans? Right, and that's like, whoa, oh my god, it does so much damage and it KO'd. And I have gotten that combo on people, honestly, a lot more often than I should, off dodge. But it's not actually true. There are, that combo takes a while, right? I mean, just take a look at this finisher. Oh, that's not the one I was looking for. Whoops. Oh yeah, I didn't reset the bot. But that's not the one again. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. Right? Yeah. It's like, well, that one even is like really slow. Just the D-Light variant of every finisher is slow. And that one, like that last swing, this one takes a while. And by the time you get this last swing, you can generally either dodge or jump out. So we don't really go for that. Usually off a dodge, you get neutral light side light into dash cancel. Another, you can't do neutral light side light into dash neutral light side light again. So you have to, what do you call it? You have to mix up the starter off a dash cancel. You can't use the same starter twice. But anyway, so let's talk about the finishers and that egg soup combo. That egg soup combo makes the finishers look ridiculous because you get all this damage rack up, and then at the end you go for this crazy flashy finisher and they get KO'd off the bottom, but you don't really find that. Most of the time you're going to be going for the end light finisher or the side light finisher. End light finisher is the one that is more often than not in strings not jumpable, and that's why it is objectively the best one if you're trying to optimize damage. And just to give you guys an example of what that would look like, that one is the side light finisher. Oh, I'm sorry, I did the neutral light right there. So that's the neutral light finisher that I'm talking about. And that one as well, right? It's quick, and it kind of hits up and above, and it'll combo off of, because you're going for your safe stuff, right? So if you're always going for, if we're talking about the bridges we did earlier, side light, D light, you want to go for the end light bridge, right? And if you're going for end light, D light, you still want to go for that end light finisher. Or alternatively, this is probably somewhere where I would go for the side light finisher more, just because you can already see Jiro, that last neutral light finisher can whiff sometimes. But that just means sometimes you gotta be a little more quicker with your inputs too. But that, the side light finisher is a little bit slower, but it also has more KO potential. And that's kind of the reason I like it, but more often than not, you want to go for that neutral light finisher. And then if we're talking about that D-light starter, right, you can go for the triple right there with the end light finisher, but that one's a little bit slower. Or alternatively, you can go for the side light finisher there as well. But I use the side light finisher quite a bit off of the D-light, just because it kind of forces them off the ledge. And it catches spot dodges a lot, especially if you delay that last side light by a bit. So to recap, because I'm going really quick through a lot of things, you want end light, D light, side light finisher if you're going off of that route, right? Or neutral light, both are fine. End light if you want, a little bit more damage right here. Same deal. Basically, go into end light finisher or side light finisher. D light finisher and pretty much every route is like End light finisher is usually the not jumpable one that also gives you good damage but won't KO as early, and side light finisher is kind of a nice middle ground where it'll still KO fairly early, and if it doesn't KO, it pushes them further off stage than the end light finisher would. And then you can kind of set up for edge guards and stuff from there. right? So, and that's honestly the weapon in a nutshell. Like if you just want to play it, that's kind of all the information you need to know. We'll talk about some of the extended punishes just a little bit, just to provide some context. But that's it. If you're just like if you're a gold player or like a plat player, and you're like I want to play Greatsword, what your main game plan is going to be is, oh, I'm going to go for unlight, D-light, maybe backdash to catch a dash in. Like, let me go ahead and set the bot to do some dodges and just kind of give you an idea of what it looks like in practice. Let's say the bot does a neutral dodge here, right? Right, and he stops. Oh my god, I love when people do this because this just says, this is basically saying, please kill me. Oh, whoops. Oh, it's because I'm not getting this true. Haha. Now I'm getting execution tested. Right there, the bot was a little late. You can just carry them across the stage. And just to give frame of reference for people watching, in terms of like where my skill level is with this weapon, I'm around 2200 right now in Diamond. I'm chilling. I've already beaten some like really good players that I probably have no business beating, so the weapon probably needs some tuning just a little bit, but I could also be devaluing my skill a bit. But that's the other thing, right? When you're playing Greatsword, you're gonna have this basic game plan. When I hit them once, do they dodge? If so, I will adjust my game plan to punish a singular dodge. So sometimes, usually I do, when I play Greatsword, usually I do two, because 2 hits is the most you can get on someone without them feeling like they're gonna die. Because a bridge is never gonna KO, and a starter is never gonna KO. Only the finishers KO, and the recovery, and the aerials. But if I get this on someone, right, and they just like dodge immediately after the first hit, then you start playing around. Oh, they dodge on the first hit, and someone who knows how Greatsword works is going to do a good job of mixing up dodging after they get hit once, dodging after they get hit twice, and dodging through the Greatsword, because one of the biggest faults of this weapon is if I hit him once here and I start like, if I go for this and I D-light, if I end up behind someone, I can't correct the fact that I'm now have my back towards them. I need to force my character to turn around, or I gotta dash away and kind of reset to neutral so that I can face them again. So if you're able to dodge through the Greatsword, it kind of leaves them in a spot where they have to eat the recovery of a move or reset to neutral. So that's always like a nice place to be. But if we catch a neutral dodge, like I get this neutral light and then just kind of chills, you have quite a few options with Greatsword. But usually you just do a delayed bridge, right? Because with bridges, you have quite a bit of time you can delay them. I can immediately go for this D-light, or I can hit, oh, he like dodged, and now I D-light, and now you can, carry them across the stage. Same thing with this, right? If I go, oh, well, maybe I have to be a little bit slower. Actually, yeah, I'll do it off of this, because this one's the easiest one for me to follow up off of. Woo. And right, and then you can kind of go for some crazy stuff there. Ooh. If my inputs come out correct, but I am not getting my inputs right now. Let's see, come on. Right, you can see right there, he was able to dodge again, even though I caught the dodge, right? And that's the other thing about Greatsword. But basically, you take those pieces together, and then you can get some crazy punishes. I guess the one thing that I neglected to actually mention is dash canceling. So we'll just talk about that really quick. I mentioned it before briefly, but if you hit someone with Greatsword with a starter, you can dash cancel the moves. You just cannot, like, so example, if I go, oh, I dash canceled, right? But you see, I can't do end light starter dash cancel end light, right? Right there, I run forward and it actually, what do you call it? There's like a delay, especially off of like a bridge too. So usually what you end up doing is you dash cancel into another starter. So if I get this, you can dash cancel into side light, right? And that delay is now gone. Because right here I'm trying to do end light, and then nothing's coming out. But I'm like, oh, side light, boom, it's out. So because of that, to get your extended punishes, you just have to do not a chase dodge, but a dash cancel. And what that means is you have to hold down and forward and dodge. Or you don't even have to hold forward, really. If you just hold down and dodge, you'll do it. I hold down and forward, though, because, it just makes sense to me because I'm running in that direction. And then you can start resetting your strings over and over and over again until you get the crazy long combos like the egg soup one, or that's why he's able to infinitely do it blindfolded, because you can just dash, reset, dash, reset, dash, reset, dash, reset. But the thing about Greatsword is that a lot of its bridges, scoop, or even the starter, right? Like we were talking about how the neutral light has that cannon property of scooping people down. You will actually catch people's dodges and then start doing your string, and then because of the way that some of these hitboxes work, like the neutral light bridge, for example, off of this pop-up, has kind of a similar thing where it'll drag someone down to the ground. And if that ends up happening, like what it causes the person to touch the ground and then they get their dodge back quicker, and that's tough to deal with. So we'll do one final brief refresher here, and then we're going to talk about common counterplay methods to this weapon. So basically, this starter OD, this starter OD, this starter OD. Use all three. Bridges. This bridge OD, this bridge ridic, and this one, this one also great. Use those three. Aerials, spam this. Nair is good, spam this. Especially in like matchups like Axe or something, if they jump, you don't really want to be jumping first against most weapons, but if you see an opponent jump first, jump, get under them, neutral air. They're not going to be able to do much about that. Down air. This move is for the people that, like, if you're for whatever reason struggling on the ground. For example, bow is a matchup that Greatsword doesn't have a great time against. Down air is going to be your friend if you're able to, kind of maneuver your way around them and get the grounded variant, and then you go into that neutral light bridge that we were talking about before. And then from there, if you want, you can, go into the mix-ups, and then you can do whatever you want. And then this one, it's alright, use it off stage. Grounded variant, don't touch that. And recovery is kind of the biggest thing I neglected to really go over. But this move is just good. You juggle people, you KO with it. If you find yourself in a position where you're like, wow, I can't find the hit, I honestly use this move just raw and neutral. Like I'll just dash jump, dash jump, dash jump, get really low, recover, and it'll KO most, like it's good. And even the exhausted recovery has still the same starter frames, and the knockback is equally insane. So use that too. And that's kind of it, right? Now in terms of, let's talk about some counterplay to the weapon. How do I beat this guy? I went over it a little bit earlier, but you need to know how to dodge versus this weapon. See what the Greatsword player is doing. Are they doing one button, then waiting for you to dodge? Or are they doing two, then waiting for you to dodge? And then mix up your dodge timing so that they don't know which to cover, right? Similarly, I was mentioning before, if you dodge through the Greatsword, it's tough. It's tough to deal with unless they are looking for that specific dodge, right? Like if I make them dodge right, okay, I hit him. Ooh, I think he's gonna dodge forward or away. Oh wow, he's gone over there. Or even if I just, man, I'm doing this whole string and my opponent's already behind me. That's tough to deal with. And then the other thing to defeat Greatsword, right? We got dodges. Dodges are important in changing your dodge timings. But most importantly, jump, dude. Just jump. If you feel like you're getting caught in the vortex of Greatsword and it's just boop, 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 it's hitting me over and over and over, mash the jump button. Just mash the jump button. And the reason I say that is because most Greatsword players haven't optimized their own play to get the routes that are unjumpable off of every punish. So more often than not, you're gonna, instead of taking these 5-hit, 7-hit strings, you can just jump out and you didn't even know. So especially if you don't have a dodge, just mash jump, you actually don't have much to lose. And that's really it. That's Greatsword, man. It's good. It's fun.
it's strong for sure, but not as strong as people think. And it's also kind of vulnerable off stage, like especially against like something like Spear, where like it can has a similar down air, and you can't really do much to challenge it. And you're just like, oh, he's pogoing me, and you have to like kind of throw your weapon a lot to cover yourself as getting back on stage because it's like, man, I really can't, to fight back with my neutral layer because I get beated out in the disjoint war. But also similarly, just in the same way that like above Greatsword can kind of, or rather like from below Greatsword can kind of struggle if it's against like let's say like an axe dare or like a spear dare. Even though the weapon is amazing at juggling, don't get me wrong, it can also suffer in the same position of getting juggled. This down air is great, right? But if he's going up against a weapon that has faster juggle options, it's a really bad time. I think Bo, me and Atrophius, and quite a few people in the Greatsword Discord right now agree that Bo is easily one of the worst matchups for Greatsword, just because you want to be facing these D-lights, right? But Bo D-light comes out quicker, has like a better hitbox than yours, and it combos true into things, so you can't really stay on the ground. But if you start jumping, now Bo's just like neutral airing you over and over, and you don't have like a great way to stop that juggle from happening. Your down air is not really going to outspeed the neutral air, so it's like, well, what are you going to do? Similarly, Orb is another hard one because you outrange Orb, but Orb has disjoints and quick hitboxes that you can't. You want to play the whiff punish game a lot. Whiff punishing Orb with this weapon because of the massive startup on the attacks, right? You don't really get that chance. Sidelight is your quickest grounded move. It comes out in 8 frames, and this is what you're going to be trying to punish Orb with. And if they're like spamming down airs or sidelights and just spot dodging, like it's tough. But there you have it. That's the Greatsword guide. I know there's a lot of information that I left out because the weapon is seemingly complicated. It's not, but to talk about all the optimal routes and things to do would take me forever. It would take me forever. But I know Daiku and Okiwi and quite a few others have been working on kind of putting that documentation together. And honestly, I think that's more their bag. I'm not really someone who's a labber. I just like playing the game. And this is more for people who just want to have fun with the weapon. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments down below, or shoot me a message on Twitter at Flambeezy, or just at me in a tweet. I'll probably respond. I do my best to respond to pretty much everyone, unless you're asking me for meta devs or something. I'm not. No, I don't. I don't have those. I'm not a dev, guys. I'm sorry. But yeah, it's been great. Thank you guys for staying tuned, and I'll catch y'all later.